Bienvenue, Jambo, Karibu, welcome to the Accountability on African SRHR Instruments online course. This course is brought to you by Accountability International, the AIDS Foundation South Africa, and the Sex Rights Africa Network. We hope to understand what kinds of commitment exist and to be able to identify weaknesses and strengths of commitments. This will take us about 45 minutes. So let's start. What's in a commitment? Fundamental to the discussion on accountability as a tool for improved health in Africa is the need for a less talk, more action approach from all stakeholders. Albeit, these political commitments play a vital role in determining the forward movement of the health movement, the sheer numbers of them, in addition to the fact that few governments are held accountable to these promises, results only in these commitments becoming toothless and useless as tools for improving governance. As an example of the extensive commitments made and the increasing speed and frequency in which they are made, the list below includes all Africa government commitments on SRHR since 1979, but does not include national nor regional commitments. Although it is accurate to say that not all 55 countries have signed all of these commitments, and that fewer yet have ratified them, it will point to a preoccupation with making promises from all stakeholders. What kind of commitments exist then? Usually, when a government representative signs a commitment, there is great media exposure and support for the leader. What is seldom revealed is whether the country and the representative have done one of the following. 1. Whether it's a simple signature. This means that the commitment is not immediately understood to be part of a country's national legislation and that it still has to be ratified. Or 2. Ratification, where this is the process whereby the national government gets the approval of the national parliamentarians for commitment to be signed, effectually making it national law and thus a more effective and implemented commitment. 3 is what we call definitive signature. This is when a country simply signs a commitment but specifies which precise sections it will not include in its commitment. 4, the signing with reservation. This is when a country simply signs a commitment but specifies which precise sections it will not include in its own commitment. And of course, 5, we've got what we call ascension, where very few commitments allow for acceding. Let us come to the issue of what then is the problem with commitments. Over the years, Accountability International has used quantitative and qualitative approaches to measure the performance of these various stakeholders against their promises, and in so doing has developed an expertise in determining how commitments, if they're going to be made, can be improved. These are some of our recommendations when and in consideration of designing commitments. Many commitments are not sufficiently future-forward. Many do not include a qualitative element. Some do not have a time-bound deadline. Others do not even mention quality. Some commitments have no teeth without the money to back them up. Some commitments can allow leaders, politicians as well as funding partners and civil society to look good yet do nothing. Some commitments can be a vacuum for limited resources. Also, having commitments with no teeth undermines all other commitments. There are some conditions under which government-signed commitments need to be ideal. Some commitments can be misinterpreted. We also need to be sure that what we are asking for really is the best thing to do. Governments also need to be included in the drawing up of recommendations early in the process. Of course, the impact and rollout of some of these commitments cannot be tracked and progress cannot be ascertained. It's important that we use existing data indicators, which is a vital process. We have to ensure that the commitment covers budget allocation and expenditure, and tracking is also important. And finally, we need to treat our elected bureaucrats as the civil servants they are. Can you be able to name 5 ways that a commitment can be signed onto? What limitations do some of these commitments have? And can you identify 4 pitfalls to avoid if you're planning on making a new commitment? Thank you very much, and please get in touch with us. Asanteni.